Good morning, everyone, and welcome to the mDevCamp 2026. For me, it's a real honor to open this event again, because last year I talked about the evolution of technology and the impact on our industry and on our society. And today, I would like to talk about something very different, something very human, or at least something that still belongs to humans. I would like to talk about inspiration. So let me start with a question. When was the last time that you felt inspired? And I don't mean motivated or productive. I mean really inspired. You have a spark and you followed it and you was creating something. Because inspiration is very different than motivation or productivity. It's the fertilizer for your mind. It's the seed that is planted in your mind, and out of the seed ideas grow. In the old days, poets and scientists and artists had an answer for where the inspiration comes from. They told us that it comes from a muse, a goddess who rules over the arts and science. You had to pray to her so that she put ideas into you and she speaks from you. But nowadays, we do not use these kind of stories to explain things. Nowadays, we have a very scientific age and we use precise definitions. So the definition for inspiration is pretty simple. Inspiration is the process of being stimulated to create. And I want to notice the word process here, because a lot of gods have turned out to be just the processes. But process has inputs, states, and conditions. And today I would like to explore more this process. And hopefully by the end of it, you will understand why you're sitting in this room actually matters more than you might think. We are going to start somewhere that seemingly does not have nothing to do with inspiration. We are going to start with atoms. Recently, I read a book that actually inspired this talk. It was a book written by Erwin Schrödinger, the famous Austrian physicist, a Nobel Prize winner, and one of the founding fathers of quantum physics. And in the 1944, he wrote a book called What is Life? A physicist trying to understand living things. And the book opens up with a very childish question. He asked, why does atoms have to be so small? If you have a little kid, you definitely know these kind of questions, and they are pretty hard to answer sometimes. So first of all, what is small? That's a pretty subjective thing. It's not a coincidence that 1 meter, the main unit of our metric system, is approximately the same size as a human arm, or that we count in tens because we have 10 fingers. So we design the language around ourselves so we understand it. So to answer this question, we have to flip the logic around it, and we have to ask, why must we be so large? Because we are not supposed to question the fundamental particle of our universe. We have to ask ourselves why we need so many of them. And the answer to this is, or at least for me, it was quite surprising. It turns out that many of the things that we call laws of nature are actually just the statistics. The most reliable patterns that we observe in nature is just large numbers of particles acting randomly. And this idea is not easy to grasp, so I would like to give you an example. Think about a drop of ink falling into a glass of water. We all know what's going to happen. It will dissolve slowly and evenly across the whole glass. But if you zoom in, it's just chaos. No single molecule knows how to spread. They're just bouncing around, exchanging energy and changing its course. And this is just an example, but many of the laws in nature has the same foundational principle. So what does it actually tell us is that the chaos of individuals becomes the order of many. No molecule has a plan, and in large numbers, they create a rule. So this answers our question. Our size is not an accident. It's actually the minimum requirement for life to exist, because life needs predictable patterns in order to form these complex structures. And by the way, we are still in the realm of atoms. I'm not talking about all the crazy shit that's going on in the quantum realm. This is just atoms. But why I'm telling is that I believe that this principle is so fundamental that it also applies to life itself. Because think about it, we are just a bunch of molecules wandering around doing pretty random stuff. Think about all the important events that has ever happened to how you met your best friend or your lover, how you find out what you actually like in life, how you find out your job. It's pretty random. And all those random events, all these collisions, well, any of those can significantly change your life, sometimes in a single heartbeat. And you really can't plan this. Or even if you try to plan something, you can't really predict where it will lead you. You can't predict what's behind the next door. And I think this is what makes life interesting. If you know what will happen tomorrow, why would even bother to getting up? So predicting the future is impossible, at least for now. But because we are not just in atoms, we have these complex structures, we have a certain level of control. And we call it the free will. And one of the variables that you can control is how many events you put yourself into, how many doors you open, how many collisions and experiences you allow yourselves to happen. It's basically a different perspective on the famous quote, the more you fuck around, the more you find out. So that's why I think that you being in this room, it's not a coincidence. It's you on purpose, giving something a chance to find you. Okay, but how does any of this relate to inspiration, right? Well, I was talking about collisions in your life. And what I mean by that it's you experiencing the world. A collision is just a piece of information connecting in your mind. And the source of this information can be really anything. It can be a lecture, a book, a piece of music, or even a beautiful sunset. Most of them, or most of the time, the information just stores, but every now and then, a collision happens and inspiration happens and something new is born, a seed, an idea. And I believe this is the process of inspiration. And this is one possible outcome of a collision. I like to think about it as a chemical reaction between information. But let's go even deeper than that, and let's talk about where those pieces actually comes from. Because the truth is that almost none of them are truly yours. Someone got inspired, had an idea, actually made that idea, and put it out there for you to interact with it. And by sharing it, he allowed you to carry that piece of information and let it collide with whatever you have. But the connections that you made, that's yours. That's your contribution to the whole chain. So when you share it, it becomes something that other people can stand on. And so it travels across time, person to person, this chain of inspiration. Newton himself claimed that he is just standing on the shoulders of giants. And I think now it's an understatement because it's not only about a few giants, it's about millions of ordinary people who each made a new connection and choose to share it. Each one added a link, and each link made the next discovery happen. And we achieved pretty magical things with this change. For almost as long as we told stories, we dream of giving voice to lifeless things. It was always a fantasy, but until we actually did it. We took silicon, basically refined sand, rocks, and we put them together and teach them how to talk to us. We call it artificial intelligence. I know that you know it, but I think it feels like a magic. But under the hood, it's just a compression of human knowledge. Every paper, every book, every forum post, it's all in there, compressed in weights. And it predicts the next word, the next sentence. And it's decades of people choosing to share what they found out. Which means this isn't something that a single person built or a company. This is not created by some random genius. No, it was created from the chain, from the inspiration and from the humans that created it. Now, think about how this tool is actually affecting the chain. It compresses everything, it makes connection across different fields, and it accelerates the whole thing. But we never had tool like this, so what's going to happen next? Because the next AI models will be trained on what the current AI models will output. So each generation tends to be more averaged out, right? AI is generating so much content that we can't really compete with it. A model trained on AI data will be less original than the one before. And if you train the next one, it will degrade even more. It's basically a snake eating its own tail, moving but not really going anywhere. Feedback loop that is likely to collapse. And this brings me to question, how will innovation and progress look like with this tool and with this feedback loop? Can something prevent happening? Can something prevent this collapse? Well, maybe it's what was always fed the chain, a genuine human insight. That might be the answer, right? Or maybe not. I don't know. Maybe AI can provide that. Can AI get inspired as well? Well, no one can predict the future. Right now, the models are fixed. They don't grow from experience, but maybe someday somebody will create this beast. But honestly, I'm not sure if this matters, because this was never about innovation or progress or AI. Those are just the outcome. I think the driving force is much simpler than that. You know, all the animals learn, but we as a species are the only one who accumulates. And we stand on everything that came before us. So that's what a civilization is. And underneath it, it's just humans sharing what they found with other humans, basically. That's what's always about. That's what a conference is. That's what a book is. And someone creates and decides not to keep it. We are here today because thousands of people made that choice before us. So please go and collide. Let something strike you. Create something, get inspired, and then share it with us. I hope that you will find this kind of inspiration today and that you will leave with a spark in your mind. Thank you and enjoy the conference.